talked about this on the show yesterday. I was just all at Twitter, and now it's like national news. And look, MLB All-Star Game is coming up. We're talking about the depths of despair Seattle's in. Forgive me if I have some concerns about our ability to play host to a bunch of people across the country for a baseball game and to be able to do it safely. I just am very worried about it. And I had said I thought what'll probably happen is the city will go in there 5 days before, clean up the whole thing, bunch of cops in the area. It'll look nice for the baseball game, and then they'll all pull out, and then it'll go back to looking like hell. And I saw, in fact, my friend Tim Gaydos sent me this. It was an invitation for people to come and to clean up the tourist areas in down by Soto. Community cleanup for June 23rd, 9 to 12 p.m., starting at T-Mobile Park. And it's being put on in part by Together Washington. What I didn't realize when I was being so critical of it initially is that my friend Tim Gaydos and Together Washington are actually organizing this thing. And so he told me over the phone, after I was raising hell about it on the show, like, hey, this isn't just about, one day of cleanup. This is part of a concerted effort that we're engaged in to try to, encourage civic engagement and improve Seattle over the long term. And so I invited Tim Gaydos on to talk about this event, but also what the business community and what concerned citizens are trying to do to turn the city around themselves, because apparently City Hall can't be trusted to. Tim Gaydos, welcome to Undivided.
Good to be here, Brandi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, I have to have you because I crapped on your dreams the other day. So I'm going to make up for that in a second. But first, in all seriousness, I've got to ask you about the vote in the city council yesterday. As someone who cares a lot about the success or failure of downtown Seattle, I imagine you're not too pleased.
I think it's unfortunate. I mean, I think... I think we've certainly seen what's happening, on our city streets, particularly in downtown Seattle. I mean, people, dying, ODing. I mean, it's really, I walk the streets of downtown every day, and it's discouraging, and it's harmful to people who are out there and don't have the ability to get better, get right, get treatment, and get the things they need. So I think it's unfortunate, without a doubt. So I think Councilmember Lewis was vacillating on his decision, is probably to put it nicely. And I think he had mentioned he was going to be a yes vote, and so he in turn switched that out. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the days, weeks, months to come with his reelection coming up in November.
When I think of Councilman Andrew Lewis, and I think that's the most important council seat, frankly, is the one representing downtown. When I think of him campaigning in 2019, saying, oh, our officers are great, we need more officers, turns around 6 months later, pledges to defund. And I feel like it's just whatever way the wind blows, and then we saw this happen yesterday. Do you think that he is the person who should be representing downtown Seattle?
Well, I think we're seeing some really good candidates right now pop in. So I think that's going to be really, really important to see folks come in like Olga and others who have a passion for small businesses, who have a passion for downtown Seattle. We'll see how that plays out. I mean, I think certainly with this vote yesterday, I think his constituents in downtown Seattle are going to be looking very intently at if he's the right person. I think Chris Daniels mentioned in a tweet yesterday that, Andrew has been kind of working the downtown cocktail circuit, I think he put it. And now that probably might give that a lot of people pause about if he really is the right council member for that district.
Well, you're being nice. I mean, if that doesn't give them pause and they reelect him, I honestly think I don't feel bad for downtown anymore. I just don't know at this point how you could support someone who has flip-flopped so many times and in such a destructive way. And I know I'm not going to put my opinion on you, but if that doesn't give them more than pause, I don't know if I can help them anymore. Let's talk about our little tweet back or our text back and forth the other day. So you send me this announcement about this effort to bring volunteers down to Soto, the downtown core, to clean it up essentially ahead of the MLB All-Star Game. And I responded to it. I was like, oh my God. And I sent it out and I was just like, I can't believe this is necessary. It turns out it's your event. I'm sorry. So first, what is the event? What's the purpose of the event in your estimation?
Yeah, I mean, really, the big idea. And I don't want to, just bore you with all these details, but let me broach it. There's a bigger effort that's underway. It's a civic pride effort. We all know that it's been a tough few years for those of us that have been in this region a long time. It's been a tough few years with the pandemic and all these other things that are happening. And we are people who believe in this city. We believe in this region. If you've been here a long time, they're evangelists for Seattle. Like, this is the best place that exists. And it is, it's an incredible place. And with what's coming up down the road, there are some unbelievable projects, events, some of the biggest in the history of the region. And so the Seattle Chamber and Rachel Smith she hatched this idea, and it's gonna come out here later this year about tying a common thread through all of these significant projects and events that are happening in our region so that we can build community around these. I mean, there's everything from, of course, the All-Star Game to the World Cup to the waterfront park opening, the opening of the expansion of the aquarium, all the link light rail extensions. And we have a list of about 25 significant events and projects that over the next 5 or 6 years are going to be opening that will really be, when we look back on this time, we'll think back to Seattle in the 60s and what was called forward thrust back then is going to be called upward together. And maybe we can come back and talk about this more later. But really the whole concept of this is a way to build community and use the weight of all of these significant projects and events to help build community, build the civic pride that we have. Yeah, we have a lot of challenges, no question about it. But how can we see what's happening and know that down the road we are going to build a better future for this region and for the city? So with this event, this was an opportunity to bring a lot of partners and neighborhoods together, along with the Mariners, along with the city. The Herald administration has been great to work with on this, and to say, hey, it's not the way that we want it to look. Let's get it better. Let's work together, but let's also build community around it and get people excited for this exciting week that's coming here in the beginning of July.
Yeah, and for the record, I do not blame anyone in the business community, especially, given how important that time is going to be for them economically. I don't blame them for wanting to do this. And I think it's a noble thing, for volunteers to go down and try to, as they said in here, create pristine and welcoming spaces for both residents and visitors alike. I think my disappointment in it is just that it's necessary, that we have to bring in volunteers for 3 days to try to help, or for 3 hours to try to help beautify the city before cameras get here for the MLB All-Star Game. Do you understand the frustration I have with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think anyone is like, oh man, everything is perfect and great. It's the way it should be. But I would say that this is something that I think would happen even if things were, looked better. I think this is something that would still that we would do. I mean, I've been doing green and cleans for almost 20 years in Seattle. These kind of efforts, and I guess and I lived in Belltown for a number of years. Did these in Belltown and Pioneer Square, and hey, 20 years ago things didn't look that great back then either. I mean, I can just remember in my mind's eye the issues and the problems that we had. So we've had problems, we've had issues. Certainly, they've been exacerbated the last few years with the pandemic and the downtown Seattle shutting down. But I will say, man, I'm very grateful for Mayor Harrell and
Yeah.
that he won that election
Oh gosh.
and that he's doing the job that he's doing. They've been really great to work with, and I think they are the way that the trajectory that we're on right now is a great trajectory, and quite frankly, a much better one than it would have been otherwise.
Oh yeah, I can't even imagine a Mayor Lorena Gonzalez. So, I mean, the city's not great right now, but I can't even imagine where we would be at under her leadership. One of my fears about this, because I had said, I think a month ago, that I know exactly what's going to happen before the MLB All-Star Game. The city will come in, there'll be a bunch of cops, they'll clear it out so it's palatable for people who are visiting, and then a few days later it'll go back to normal. Because I've seen it. I've done interviews with mayors downtown where I had been down there and it was a disaster, and then I get down there and the whole thing's cleaned up, and I'm like, they cleaned this up because we were coming down to do a TV interview. And so I guess with this cleanup in particular, how can we make sure that it doesn't just immediately go back to how it was after the MLB All-Star Game? Or is it probably going to go back to how it was?
No, I mean, part of the effort that we're a part of, the Seattle Chamber, Together Washington, and others are helping to put together is to create sustainable efforts that continue to bring and tie a common thread through these events and projects that are happening. I mean, that really is kind of the big idea, is to tie this common thread through these things so that they're not isolated. So it's not just like, because there was no like thought of like, oh man, let's just hurry up and get it ready for the All-Star Game, and then it's just going to go back to what it was. How can we create a sustainable opportunities to see our city the way I think we all wanted to see it? And so what's happening, Brandi, with this is that already, and we did this for the convention center as well. Like we held a cleanup around the convention center before that opened in January. And what it does is it creates momentum and inspiration, and people want to get more involved. So already I'm here. I just heard from Amazon yesterday. They said at least one of their divisions said, hey, we can't do the 23rd, but we've got 300 people that want to go do a volunteer day in July after the All-Star Game. Is that possible? It's like, absolutely, yes. Yeah. And so that's the kind of thing that it's kind of building on itself, that as people are coming back to the office in downtown, Nordstrom's just reached out to me yesterday. They want to bring 500 people out to serve at this day on the 23rd, and then figure out ways to do it regularly. That's happening because of that. People are getting, seeing others come out and they're inspired to do it. And you can create these opportunities to sustain and give people an opportunity to love and serve their city, which I think is pretty cool.
I think it is too. And I hope though that civic engagement and that desire to, go down there and what they see as they're doing it will inspire them come November, to make a change in the city and to say, hey, it's great if we want to go do these things, but we also need city leadership that wants our city to be just as beautiful as we want it to be. And I don't think that that's what we have on the city council right now, with just a couple exceptions. I'm curious your thoughts on this. I have said that I don't think the city should have put its name in the running for the All-Star Game or for the World Cup in the state it's in, because my concern is, if tourists come here and have a bad experience, that can have ripple effects that are further detrimental to the city's long-term success. Do you agree with that, or do you think we need events like this to be a catalyst for cleanups and for change?
No, it's a great event. I mean, I have every belief that the Mariners are doing a fantastic job. I mean, they're a first-class organization. They got great people. I think it's going to be run very well. And I think that this is going to be a catalyst, without a doubt, for the rest of the summer, because we know that it's going to, the summer is going to already, and I don't know if you've seen it, Brandi, it is the vibrancy right now. I haven't seen a vibrancy like this probably in 3 years, since before the pandemic, on the streets, with, of course, it's cruise season. You're getting a lot of tourists in, but there is a ton of vibrancy. I went out to eat the other night. On a Monday night in downtown Seattle, Brandi, I had to wait an hour for a table at a
wow.
restaurant
That
on a
actually is
Monday
fine.
night.
Well, it helps that Amazon made its workers come back to the office.
On a Monday night.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, and that's what you need. You need people down there who aren't there specifically to sell drugs, buy drugs, commit crimes, and all of that. You need a vibrancy of people working, living, and visiting, and we need them to be safe. Tim, let's end with this. And Nicole, I'm going to have you check my calendar for June 23rd, because I told Tim after I lost my mind about this being necessary that I'll come down and clean graffiti with a toothbrush to make amends if I don't have anything on the 23rd. But how can people volunteer if they would like to volunteer?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. It'd be great to have folks come out. And Brandi, I cannot wait to see you out there on the 23rd. TogetherWashington.com. Go to TogetherWashington.com, and there's a link right on the very front page. It says T-Mobile Park Community Cleanup. Just click the link, and super easy to register. And there's going to be a lot of fun jobs and opportunities. We're going to meet 9 a.m. on June 23rd at the Mariners Parking Plaza, which is right there at T-Mobile Park. We'll have coffee and pastries. Our friend Angela Dunleavy is going to be doing some coffee and pastries for us. And then we'll have some former Mariners and Sounders there, which will be great. And just do a little community celebration, and then everybody will go off into different neighborhoods. We've got block captains who are going to be helping out, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So TogetherWashington.com, sign up, come out on June 23rd.
All right, what's the verdict on my schedule, Nicole?
You're open.
Oh, shoot.
We'll see you there, Brandi.
Okay, all right, I'll come. Hey, as much as I have been hard on Seattle, I want it to succeed. I want it to thrive, and bless you and everybody else who is trying to do what, frankly, your tax dollars in city government should already be doing. But I give you a lot of credit for how much you love the city. You're critical of it, but I think being critical of it right now does show the city love, and that's what we need. So, Tim Gaydos, we really appreciate your time, and I guess I'll see you in a couple weeks.